It's the type of turmoil no one expected, but suddenly the whole internet is reeling. Rumors are flying, videos are leaking, and fans are left startled as murmurs escalate. Kirk Frost and Joc, two of Love and Hip Hop's greatest performers, have been detained after a violent incident that occurred on set. Another normal shot apparently went out of control, resulting into a full-blown fight that ended in handcuffs. And now that the stunning film tape is making rounds online, the whole Truth TV world is in meltdown mode. Insiders claim tensions have been growing behind the scenes for weeks, but no one anticipated this according to sources close to production. The verbal altercation immediately became violent, and within minutes turmoil occurred right in front of the cameras, with shouting and security skirting, and then fans are left wondering what prompted this violent clash, whether it was a personal betrayal, a corporate disagreement, or something even deeper and more. Importantly, what does this signify for the future of the show? Stay closely because this is just the beginning, and the specifics will leave you startled. On what was intended to be a regular production day for the new season of Love and Hip Hop, everything appeared business as usual, with producers yelling instructions, crew putting up lights, and the cast members arrived on time. But there was an underlying tension between Kirk Frost and Joc. They exchanged looks, Kirk nods, and scarcely any words. For those on site long enough to read the room, it was evident something wasn't right. Those close to production reported that Kirk and Joc had been avoiding each other for weeks behind the scenes, while whispers indicated the fallout started over. Kirk had apparently made some side maneuvers concerning a club promotion that Joc felt he was meant to be a part of, but Kirk allegedly pulled Joc out without notice, and Joc wasn't ready to allow that slide. Things have been simmering quietly, subtly hostile remarks during confessional interviews, subtle digs during group situations, and eventually today, it all came to a head. Kirk and Joc were both slated to record a relaxed scene at a lounge-style set where the group was intended to discuss new initiatives. The director ordered action as if igniting a fuse. Joc came late, his countenance enigmatic, and took a seat immediately across from Kirk. They didn't talk at first, but Kirk leaned forward and murmured something under his breath, too low for Mike to hear but loud enough. To set Joc off, he slapped his fist on the table. Saying that again, he snapped, locking eyes with Kirk. The room became quiet, and the crew members froze. Sitting next Kirk, I reflexively grabbed for his arm, attempting to soothe him. Kirk remained still and repeated the statement, this time louder. You're acting like you run. Things when you don't even own your name gasped, rang over the stage. Joc rose up slowly. You pretty courageous today, Kirk, he said, voice rising, genuine brave for someone. Kirk said, I just don't deal with clowns. Within seconds, chairs scraped the floor as the two men stood nose to nose with security. Raced in, but not fast enough, and pushed Kirk first, sending him staggering back a few feet. Kirk recovered quickly and went forward, fists flailing. Cameras were still filming as mayhem ensued. The crew attempted to interfere, but the fight was violent, with punches flying and furniture toppling. Even the other cast members, surprised and frozen at first, moved in to try to separate the two. Rashiva yelled Kirk's name again, her voice practically drowned out by the hubbub. Mona Scott, who wasn't even on site at the time, was instantly contacted. Producers were shrieking into walkie-talkies. This wasn't just an altercation had developed into a full-blown battle. What made things worse was that a member of the camera team didn't stop recording. Instead, they followed the fight, getting every in the perfectly clear take. One producer even said, this is going to break the internet. But things spiraled too far in the fury. Joc apparently threw a punch that mistakenly struck a security guard, which was the moment the network noticed everything. Within 20 minutes, law enforcement came. Police entered the facility as Kirk and Joc were still detained in opposite corners of the set, both looking beaten and angry. Cops gathered testimonies from witnesses, requested for film, and started separating people involved. Kirk screamed something towards Joc as authorities let him out. You finished, bro. Done in this industry, Joc. Breathing hard did not answer, but his look told all. This wasn't over as information got outside the set. Social media erupted, and someone released a 6-second footage of Kirk swinging first spread like wildfire on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans were astonished, but many did not believe it at first. This got to be contrived, one user said, but others claimed it was too raw to be phony. Within 1 hour, the video had over 1 million views. Websites picked it up. Love and hip-hop artists Kirk Frost and young Jock embroiled in an outset dispute. One headline read, "Tennis uploaded a hazy photo of both guys being carried away in cuffs." Commentators were savage, discussing who was right, who initiated it, and what this meant for the future of the program. Meanwhile, Rashida was seen outside. The station's clearly disturbed sources said she was shouting at producers, demanding explanations, and threatening to walk off the broadcast if Kirk wasn't freed immediately. "This was meant to be a business scenario," remarked, "not a friggin' war zone." Back inside, Kirk sat in an interrogation room, knuckles injured and face strained. Police questioned him to explain the events. He reiterated the same allegation that he felt frightened, that Jock provoked him, and claimed he acted in self-defense. But with the video showing both men engaged violently aggressively, it looked probable he was in a different room nursing a cracked lip and a bruised eye. When questioned, he chuckled angrily and asked Kirk why he was so afraid to confront me like a man these past weeks. He continued, "All of this could have been handled off camera." Mona Scott, after being informed, delivered a confidential statement to the network. "This is not what we represent. We want drama. Yes, yet not violence, not arrests." She asked the crew to suspend all filming indefinitely until the issue was examined. Yet there were rumors behind closed doors. One producer allegedly replied, "As long as no one person sues." Meanwhile, Kirk and Jock were imprisoned overnight, and mugshots started to spread online, making viewers fear if their favorite reality stars had finally passed a boundary they couldn't come back from. As daylight broke, the sidewalks outside the station hummed with cameras and fans. Everyone wanted answers: what actually caused the incident, who delivered the first blow, and most importantly, would Kirk and Jock suffer serious penalties? Or was this merely another chapter in the crazy world of reality TV? But just as Kirk was being processed for release on bail, his phone buzzed with a message from a blocked number. The text said, "You think that was bad? Wait till you see what happens next." His face became pale, and that's when Chapter 1 ended. The message on Kirk's phone sent a shiver down his spine as he sat silently in the rear of the police station, his hands still aching, and his thoughts whirling from over the last 24 hours. He couldn't stop glancing at that enigmatic text. "You thought that was bad? Wait till you see what comes next." He didn't identify the number, which was blocked anonymously, but the warning was clear: someone out there wasn't done. Kirk had no clue who it was or what they were planned. Across town, young Jock sat in the backseat of a black sub, his boss taking him away. Leaving the station after eventually obtaining bail, his face was battered and his jaw throbbing. But his phone wouldn't stop vibrating with calls, messages, and DMs, all of them either from reporters, fans, or those claiming to care. Jock disregarded most of them. All he worried about now was the harm done to his profession, reputation, and more essential, his dignity. "You want to go home?" his boss gently questioned Jock. He shook his head. "No, take me to the studio. I have something to get off my chest." By mid-morning, both Kirk and Jock were trending across all social media platforms, with the leaked video already having over 5 million views. #KirkShock was the top topic on Twitter. People were split, with some condemning Kirk, some supporting Jock's side, and many just stunned that things had gone that far. What no one anticipated, however, was a second the lengthier film was ready to be released. And this time, it wasn't just punches being thrown back in the editing room of the Love and Hip Hop production studio. A low-level assistant called Trey had been silently viewing the raw tape. His work was to classify and label sequences for the editors, but when he happened upon an unedited footage that hadn't yet been acquired by producers, he paused. The camera perspective revealed a behind-the-scenes moment. Just before the incident, Kirk and a producer were conversing privately, unaware that the mic was still hot. In the footage, Kirk could be heard stating, "I told Mona I am no longer shooting with Jock because he is irresponsible, careless, and believes that this program cannot function without him." The producer answered, "Are you sure you want to take that route? It'll irritate him." Kirk said, "Let him be angry. I have dirt on him that will him off if he tries me." Trey sat transfixed. His pulse raced. He knew if he leaked this, he'd lose his job, but it also disclosed a whole new dimension to the drama. And in the realm of viral material, time was important. 3 hours later, the tape emerged online, and fans went berserk. The footage revealed that Kirk had planned to break connections with Jock before the fight, and more than that, it indicated Kirk was sitting on some type of secret Twitter erupted with hypotheses. What dirt Kirk had on Jock, and where Kirk started the fight. Jock viewed the tape from the studio and almost knocked over his mic in shock that this imbecile had been planning. Mumbled, "No, I'm not letting this pass." He contacted his manager, got my lawyer on the phone, and told Mona we needed to meet to Mona Scott immediately. Under pressure from the network planned an emergency meeting with Kirk and Jock separately. Her job was to calm things down, figure out whether shooting could restart, and most crucially, find a way to make this into a ratings triumph without breaking any legal boundaries. Kirk came first, wearing glasses to disguise the swelling around his eye, and his demeanor was stone cold. Mona welcomed him with an embrace, which he did not return. "What's going on, Kirk?" she questioned softly. "You tell me," he answered. "Why is film leaking your studio who's playing games? We're treating it internally," she assured him. "But I need to know what's this about you having dirt on Jock." Kirk paused then. Leaned in. "I received receipts, text messages, deals he made behind the scenes attempting to remove me off the program. He'd been moving foul, so this was personal." Mona said it is Jock had his own sit-down with Mona, unlike Kirk, who came in loud, agitated, and prepared to fight verbally. "This time you let him say all that nonsense and didn't stop him," he shouted. "You knew he was attempting to trick me." Mona raised her hands. "Jock, I didn't know about the messages. I didn't know he was planning anything. I simply want to mend. This is before the network pulls the plug." "Nah, we won't repair anything till I get to explain my side." The following day, a fresh video came online, this time released from Jock's own verified Instagram, and it was a selfie video filmed at his studio. Let me make one thing clear," he said. "I didn't start that fight, and I didn't want that fight, but I ain't no punk, and I'm not going to let someone throw dirt on my name without clapping back." He then paused dramatically, because Kirk wants to speak about dirt. "Maybe it's time I reveal what I know." That final statement drove fans into a frenzy. Hundreds swarmed the comments eager for details. Hashtags like #SpillThit and #Jock's Revenge started trending, and for the first time in days, Jock was winning the public support war, with Kirk witnessing the tide turn. Rashida entered his home studio. She had scarcely talked to him since the arrest, and her face was still tight with sadness. "I need you to stand with me on this," Kirk urged her. "You," she repeated, "you nearly threw your entire career away for some little beef. It ain't sympathy if he's been attempting to fire me." Rashida shakes her head. "You must solve this not for the cameras, but for us." As Kirk and Rashida debated behind closed doors, the pressure outside continued to increase. The network was demanding answers. Sponsors threatened to withdraw financing if violence continued to dominate news. Mona was walking a tightrope, attempting to balance the mayhem with the prospect of sky-high ratings. And just when it felt things couldn't get much messier, another anonymous message hit Kirk's phone, this time with no words but a video file. Kirk opened it, his hands quivering. The tape showed him months ago in a private discussion with the mystery lady. The audio was grainy, but clear enough to hear him remark, "I don't care. According to the deal, I will find a means to cut Jock out. He is dead." Kirk's face turned pale again. Someone was sitting on a large vault of destructive material, and they were leaking it piece by piece. Meanwhile, in Jock's studio, he got a parcel with no return address. Inside a US disc, there was a message that stated, "You are not the only one." Kirk missiled. Jock inserted the drive in and started watching his mouth progressively drop as the film played. this time showing Kirk. Meetings with Network X pressing for Jock scenes to be deleted finally made sense as Part 2 ended. Kirk and Jock realized they're not simply battling one another anymore. They're fighting someone in the shadows. Who wants both of them to crash and burn? The saddest thing is that they still don't know. The air was thick, and the tension was nearly terrible. Kirk walked back and standing in his living room, the film still playing in the background, his own words reverberating through the speakers as each phrase and syllable served as a reminder that someone had been watching him videotape himself setting him up, and now the whole world was watching. His phone buzzed again, this time with a notice about another video. Just fell. But it wasn't about him, it was about Rashida. Kirk's eyes widened, he touched the screen. The video was blurry, filmed from a distance, but unmistakable. It showed Rashida having passionate talk with the stranger. Kirk didn't recognize the man who reached out. Touching her arm and soothing her as she grieved, the caption said, "Is Rashida looking for comfort from someone new?" Kirk felt the drain from his cheeks. He knew Rashida had been aloof recently. But was this the true move in whatever twisted game was being played? Jock looked blankly at the files on the US drive. His heart he ran through files labeled with names, dates, and even episode titles that someone had stored. Years of behind-the-scenes video, including secret recordings, producer notes, and cast gossip. This wasn't about Kirk. This was about the whole show, and one file drew his eye. Before he clicked it, the screen displayed an old footage. Himself seated in the confessional chair talking to a producer, he remembers this day as when he almost abandoned the program following a furious confrontation with another cast member. In the video, he stated something he never imagined would see the light of day. "This program isn't worth my sanity, and if Kirk keeps pushing my buttons, one day I'll snap." And don't act startled, Jock sat back astonished the footage was captured. Out of context would make him appear like the aggressor. It portrayed a picture that anybody could easily twist to demolish. His picture, and whomever released the fight footage, certainly had no issue sharing whatever fit their objective. A knock at the door jolted him out of his reverie. It was his lawyer. "We have a problem," she stated instantly. "The network's attorneys are evaluating all of the material to see if they can dismiss both of you from the program." Jock stepped up, asking what they couldn't do since we were the show. "They're under pressure, sponsors are moving away, and the board wants this mess cleared up quickly." Meanwhile, Mona Scott was on a conference call with the network. Her voice was cool, but below, she was angry at the mayhem, spun out of her control, and she despised the fact that we could solve it. "We frame it as a redemption storyline in which Kirk and Jock work through their troubles. Love a comeback." The exec on the line wasn't persuaded they attacked each other on video, which is not only awful. "Press, that's a liability. Then let me handle it my way." Mona responded, "Give me one." Weak. When the conversation ended, Mona phoned Trey, the associate editor who leaked in the first video. She wasn't sure whether it was him, but her instinct told her he was involved. "I need you to find out who has the remainder of the film," she said calmly. "And if it's you, now is the moment to come clean." Trey hesitated. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You think this is a game? Your careers are on the line." Later that evening, Kirk addressed Rashida after Trey remained mute. "What's with this video going around?" he asked, handing out his phone, and she stared. Her gaze narrowed. "Do you really think I'm messing around behind your back? I'm not sure what to think." "Anymore?" Kirk replied, "First the fight, now this, and I'm not even sure who's tugging the strings." Rashid sighed. "That guy is a therapist, and I went to him because I needed someone to speak to who wasn't in this poisonous environment, and you should have informed me about planning against Jock or all the other secrets you've been harboring." They stared at each other, and the room filled with stillness. After years of unresolved tension around town, Jock had an unexpected guest. Carly had watched things develop online and wanted to check on you. "Okay," she questioned quietly. He shrugged. "Depending on what video you saw today." She sat. "Aside from him, You realize that this entire event seems greater than you and Kirk. Trying to tear this whole show down, he added, and I believe I know who he pulled. Out of the US drive, this was supplied to me anonymously, but there is only one individual who would know all this data. Carly questioned, who was there from the beginning? Jock paused, and Stevie's eyes widened as he considered it, and he said that he had been away from the program for a while. While departed after the fallout with Mona, he understands the ins and outs of what if he's attempting to blow everything apart. But why Carly? When she returned to Mama's office, she got an email asking for retribution. The subject line of an untraceable account read, "You thought you could play God with people's lives. Now watch it all." Break apart attached was a video of her from years ago in a heated discussion. In the tape, she can be heard asking, "Drama sells if what's the point if they collide?" We blur it out, add some sound effects, and Mona's heart fell as she saw the numbers increase. If the video got out, it would destroy her. She grabbed up her phone and dialed. "We need to meet immediately," Kirk agreed. The rendezvous was scheduled for midnight in a quiet back room of a bar where they used to film. But before that, Kirk had got another message. But this time it was a snapshot. A still image from club security cameras show Kirk standing alone waiting, while behind him, as Kirk glanced closely at the dark figure, his breath hitched. The figure seemed familiar. Too familiar, he contacted Jock immediately. "We're not enemies, man," Kirk responded. "We are being played." Jock hesitated before saying, "I know." And exactly like that, opponents became friends since the true danger was no longer each other, but whoever had been monitoring them all along, and now they were ready to walk out of the shadows. They arrived at the club. First, he stood at the bar, examining the dimly lighted area for every shadow. Uncomfortable, he hadn't come back here in months, not since that memorable incident when Kirk had called him out on live. Tonight's television felt different, and it wasn't about numbers or stage drama. It was genuine, real dread. Kirk stepped in 5 minutes later, realizing the risk and serious repercussions. Glancing about as if expecting someone to spring out, the two caught eyes and shared a short nod without words. Silently realizing that everything had changed, they made their way to the rear room where Mona was already waiting. Pacing like a storm about to erupt, she did not welcome them or smile. Glanced up and went right to the point. "You two have officially become liabilities, and I've been doing harm. If this situation worsens, the network will not simply dismiss you, but will blacklist you." Against the wall with arms crossed, "You think we don't know that someone is attempting to destroy all of us? This isn't just about the struggle anymore." Mona looked unconvinced until Jock came up and laid the US drive on the table between them. "Watch this," he simply stated to Mona. Inserted it into her laptop. When the files opened, her countenance shifted to horror and perplexity. Suddenly, a spark of terror, she browsed through files full of unseen film confessional recordings, unreleased scandals. There were producer orders to agitate certain cast members. Years of secrets enough to bring down the whole franchise. She went to Jacko and Kirk. "Where did you acquire this, Kirk?" Answered, "Someone mailed it to him anonymously, but we believe it is Stevie J." Mama's face became very frigid. "Stevie wouldn't dare." Jock shook his head. "He disappeared for a purpose. He has been silent for far too long. Perhaps he has been gathering all of this while we were out here fighting for scraps before." Mona could answer when her phone rang. She took it up and became pale. Another video of Mona ordering a producer to stage a fake has been released. Arrest scenario involving Kirk and Jock to enhance viewers, get the cuffs, create the drama, and have her voice put on the tape. Seemed genuine enough to go viral. The leak had reached a big gossip block, and the comment section was quickly blowing up. Kirk's phone buzzed, and followers accused him of fabricating the fight and manipulating the audience's narrative. Was racing out of control. Mona slammed her laptop shut. "We need to get ahead of this by doing an interview with the press." "Release something," Jock interrupted. "Nah, not this time. We always lie to cover. Up another lie, we probe further, and we need to uncover whomever is behind this." and stop them before they spill anything we can't come back from. Kirk nodded in agreement. They're coming after us, Peace. By Peace, first the fight, then Rashida, and now you who's next mother except from the weight of it all tumbling down on her. We locate Stevie, and if he is behind this, we finish. Tonight, somewhere across the city, a person sat in a dark room. The mystery sender watched the carnage develop online, lighted solely by the illumination of several screens. As a reminder that their approach was working, they clicked on another video clip labeled Jock_Kirk private meeting. The tape shows the exact discussion going. Right now at the club, captured by a concealed camera put in the room, the figure grinned. They were after all these years. What do you want? Benzino reclined back with arms folded. Vengeance, but not just for me, but for everyone you left behind. You believe you're the untouchables, are the franchise's monarchs, but you're simply the newest idiots. A never-ending circus. Jock took a step forward, his voice cracking with wrath. Almost wrecked our life by leaking our private conversations and setting us up against us. Benzino arched an eyebrow, nearly tapping the key on the laptop. Suddenly, displays throughout the warehouse sprang to life, displaying video of Kirk disputing with Rashida about infidelity allegations. Jock in a shouting battle with his ex Mona, planning cast firings behind. Benzino stated, "I've got hundreds of hours, and the press is ravenous." Kirk clenched his fists. "What's your price, Benzino?" "I don't want money. I want visibility. I want the world to see the truthfully. I want to witness what you made." Burn. Jock came closer. "And you think people would trust a disgraced ex-gas member over us?" Zeno smirk did not waver. "Already go online. Your admirers have converted into sponsors are backing out." Even Mona's words resonated as the network panicked. "I don't need to persuade anybody. The anarchy speaks for itself." He's bluffing over a secret speaker. She stated she had hacked into the broadcast using her phone, and I tracked the server. He has the film, but it's all kept in one place, and I merely triggered a purge procedure in 60 seconds. Every file on that disk will be deleted forever. Unless you stop it. Benzino's eyes widened as he went to the keyboard, feverishly typing. Kirk and Joc moved. "It's over," Kirk remarked. "You had your time, now it's over." But Benzino was not ready to surrender. From beneath the table, he produced a tiny handgun and pointed at Kirk. The air froze. Jock lifted his hands. "You really going to shoot us on camera?" Benzino's fingers shook. "I lost everything because of you. My name is Brand. My family is gone. Kirk has remained peaceful, and this will not bring any of that." Just then, Mona activated the stream one final time, and the countdown showed. With 10 seconds remained on the screen, Zeno looked at it, then at Kirk before dropping. "Do it," he said, slumping into the chair while holding the rifle. He whispered, and the files disappeared. Screens went dark outside, sirens roared in the distance, and Mona had tipped off the authorities and the police were minutes away. But Benzino didn't struggle. He simply sat. As cops stormed the building, Kirk and Jock came out. The early morning light created broad shadows behind them. "We survived," Jock muttered. Kirk nodded weakly. But the war was not finished despite the primary files. The internet never forgets bits of the videos that remained on gossip blogs, fan sites, and dubious forums. Their reputations were still in doubt, and the harm might take months, years to mend. Monica scheduled a private sit-down interview with a prominent news source where they told their side of the story. Kirk talked honestly about the pressures of fame and the manipulation from producers and how they had lost themselves pursuing numbers. The Jock acknowledged to his regrets, his rage, and his blindness to the wider picture. When the interview went viral, fans were split. Some complimented their honesty, while others accused them of manipulating the narrative. One thing was clear, they weren't going down without a fight. In the following weeks, Mona launched a new digital series. Reality Unfiltered gives cast members a place to speak their actual story unfiltered and raw. Kirk and Jock became regulars, opening up in ways the audience had never seen. The reaction was for the first time in years. Fans recognized them as real beings, not just characters. Behind the scenes, Benzino faced a number of allegations, including cybercrime, extortion, and unlawful. Although he claimed to have acted alone, suspicion circulated that others were involved. Some thought that former producers, furious ex-cast members, and even competitor networks have supported him. But nothing was confirmed. The enigma remained partially unresolved, adding additional dimension to the already bizarre plot. When Kirk and Joc took a break from shooting to concentrate on family rehabilitation and rebuilding, Kirk spent time with Rashida attending therapy and attempting to restore what was remained of their relationship. He reunited with his kids, pledging to be more present for both, kept mainly off social media, letting the dust settle, and gradually the controversy began to disappear from headlines, but the experience transformed them. No longer consumed with fame, they began to converse about developing their own true material, something authentic, a project that contributed back to the community instead of tearing it apart. Mona unexpectedly embraced the notion maybe it was remorse or perhaps she spotted a fresh business opportunity. Either way, they started preparing something. Occasionally, Kirk received a message from an unknown number, no text, just an emoji or a hazy image of the past never fully disappears. Someone out there is still watching and waiting, but Kirk wasn't afraid this time. He and Jock had faced the worst and lost everything, still stood, and no matter what came next, another scandal, another leak, another betrayal, they were prepared to tell their own story in their own way, and this they quickly gained control of what had begun as a simple backstage situation. The argument between Kirk Frost and young Jade turned into one of the most shocking and chaotic scandals reality TV has ever witnessed. From viral fights and leaked videos to hidden betrayals and a mysterious, this narrative was full of drama, passion, and a reality that no one could see. The arrest, confession, and confrontation with Benzino were all played out like a movie. But for Kirk and Joc, this was real life. Even if they managed to escape the hurricane, the wounds it left behind may never entirely erase. Here's the actual question. Did Kirk and Joc genuinely rehabilitate themselves, or was this just another premeditated maneuver in the reality TV game? Were they victims of manipulation and treachery, or part of the mayhem all along? And what about Benzino? Was he a villain or merely another victim of a poisonous system focused on ratings and celebrity? We want to hear from, do you believe Kirk and Joc deserve a second opportunity on reality television? Finally, improve how it handles drama and real life? Or is this simply the nature of the beast? Drop your opinions in the comment below. We're reading everything, and don't forget to like this video if you were surprised by the twists and hits. Subscribe button for more explosive updates, behind the scenes tales, and the actual tea about your favorite celebs. Trust us, what's coming next will leave you dumbfounded, because in the realm of reality TV, nothing remains buried for long, and the next controversy is always only one camera angle away. Stay tuned, remain interested, and as always, remain dirty.